Hi everyone, I'm Christina. Today is Ergo Quilting. I don't have any tools for ergonomic quilting that makes things a little bit easier. However, I do have a background in kinesiology, health and wellness, those types of things. Rather than sharing my tools, I thought I'd give you guys some exercises for what I like to do to counter all the horrible things I do with all my quilting. So quilting, how do I counter all of those actions? So a few of my favorite tips and tricks for taking care of your neck, your wrists, and your shoulders, because I think that's mostly where we tend to do so much damage to ourselves with the repetitive action of sewing and cutting and all those things. So my first favorite one is a seated cat-cow. And as you can see here, I got my blanket, my favorite prop ever. So I'll sit on it, I'll use it for any sort of wrist stuff. But if we're gonna do a seated cat-cow, I like to put my hands on my knees and we curl in and then we stretch in the back of the neck. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Abs go in, pulling, stretching, relaxing. Then we lift up onto our sit bones and then we look up to the sky and try to get those shoulders down. That is the important action here, guys. Shoulders down, looking up, because how often are we sewing like this? So we need to do the opposite of that. And then we just move through. Stretching and looking up. The slower you go, the stronger you will get. So I encourage you to go slow. The other one that I think is really important for us quilters, and even if you're a keyboard person or a mouser, we definitely got to take care of our wrists. So I always encourage, if you can, do this on the ground. If you can't do it on the ground, you can always do it against a wall. You can do it, on a countertop, things like that. Those are all great options to be able to, again, counter all the things we do with our sewing and in our everyday lives. But if you can, again, wrists, so important. And again, I like to use my blanket. It is literally the best prop you will ever come across. But if getting your hands and wrists flat on the ground is too much, you can use your quilt. Use your quilt. I love quilting. I gave up yoga blankets a long time ago. Why would I use that when I can use a beautiful quilt with beautiful fabrics, something that I made that's meaningful to me, so I use a quilt. But you can decrease the angle of your wrist by putting your palms onto the quilt. And then again, you can shift your weight forward and back and forward and back. Little stretch in the wrists, little release, stretch in the wrists. And again, if you can't do it on your knees, you can do this seated, you can do it standing, you can do it up against a wall, shifting forward and back, all great options. If it's too easy, too simple, you can always turn your palms towards your knees, and then you can do it this way, shifting and stretching, shifting and stretching. But this one's really intense, so I encourage you, please be safe. Don't do it if it doesn't feel good, if it's too much. And then finally, my other favorite pose that I absolutely love to do to help counter all of the neck, the looking down, the cutting, the sewing, all that stuff. I use my blanket, get down into a lovely Sphinx pose. And again, if you can't make it onto the ground, I understand. I have worked with a lot of very different clients, and a lot of people can't get onto the floor. But you can do this on a bed. You can do it standing up against the counter. We get our elbows, shoulders stacked over our elbows, and then we just lift and we push the earth away, and then we look up, super gently stretching out into Sphinx. I love Sphinx pose. It is one of the best. But the important action here, squeeze your shoulder blades. Where's your neck? I want to see your neck, because that's a lot of what we're trying to counter. Because how much do we sew? We sew like this. We pull our shoulders up to our ears. We get tense. Pull the earth away. Look up. And the important part about countering all these actions is actually doing strengthening. We don't think that it's important. We think that we need to stretch in order to counter, but a lot of the problems that we face with the repetitive action movements is that we're not doing the strengthening to hold our bones and our muscles in the places that they need to, so that we feel safe and feel good. So you need to squeeze your shoulder blades and you need to look up. So it's a strengthening, not a stretching, as funny as that is. But those are my favorites. So seated cat-cows, little wrist stretch in tabletop or even seated or standing, and then Sphinx. All my favorite poses. So I am the Quilting Yogi, or Quilt Verve. You can come find me. I hope to see you all here. Thank you so much to Quilt Fest for putting on all these posts and inspiration for us to share and be a part of each other's lives. I am so grateful to be here. Thanks so much.